so we said that we were going to make lots of vlogs throughout this process.
Be transparent.
Yeah, but we made one. But now we are 1 week out from this show. And we were saying before that part of it was either we make the vlogs or we make the show. So we made the show. And 7 days out. Right now we're just working on finessing the costumes and making the final pieces of the set. These are the flower poofs that we're calling them, or flower puffs. Yeah. You see we've got a big poodle over there. Things are happening. Things are looking gorge. After our big working bee, we kept working into the deep afternoon, and then I felt really happy with all the work that we had gotten done, so we decided to take the night off. I watched The Witches with my kiddo, which he's finally old enough, I felt like, to watch what I think is that's a proper scary movie, in my view, for Hugo. And so we watched that and we had some yummy dinner, and it was really nice to take a little bit of a break after. Oh my goodness, I feel like we were like, we're gonna make so many vlogs, we're gonna make so many videos about the process of putting on the show. But it turns out that it got to a point where it was like either making the content or actually making the show, because as it turns out, making a whole show is a lot of work. But I have shared some videos over on Instagram of some of the process, and I definitely want to share with you some clips of where we're at the moment. So I'm going to do that throughout this video. Right now, I'm just working on a tulip hat that I am making for patients to sing Tiptoe Through the Tulips in our show. And I'm starting off with some wire, and I'm going to use a little puppy hat that I don't know why we took off its ears, but we did do that, and now it's just been left as this, and I really believe you must never waste something like this. So I think it's going to be the perfect foundation for this little tulip hat that I'm making out of some of this garden wire that we had in the garage and has actually proved to be so useful. I've made so much stuff out of this. I've made little ties, little hair bows. It's a really great base, and whilst I love making cutie things out of unconventional materials, it always has to be sturdy and usable, in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the foundation out of that. I'm going to kind of mold it on this hat, and then I'm going to cover it in tape, paint it, rhinestone it, and hopefully we will have a flower hat. So much has happened over the last few weeks. Oh my goodness. I can't tell you, this has been one of the most rich creative projects I have ever worked on. I think also it's been so rich because rich and bountiful. I love that I'm saying it's been so rich when it's also entirely self-funded. So it has cost some money, but we have made it back on ticket sales, which is really, really exciting. And obviously so grateful for the support, anybody who's coming along. I feel really emotional about it, actually, to be able to create something like this that has been so joyful with the support of our community. It feels like we're doing it all together. I just feel so lucky to be able to be at this stage of the project, which is 6 days out today. Oh my goodness. I have to say, I feel like at the beginning of the year, a lot of this sort of thinking in regards to following an idea like this really came about after kind of engaging with the artist's way again. I know everybody talks about it online, and it's because so many of the principles in it are so effective. I would say because I am a parent and, you know, I also have a full-time creative practice outside of doing self-devised projects, I kind of do quite a diluted version of the artist's way, in that I really just focus on the morning pages, some of the artist date behavior where you take yourself out on a little artistic adventure that's by yourself and enriching. I don't do it every week. I couldn't possibly. I might try and do it like once a month, or when I'm like in the course of my day, I feel like an artist day presents itself, I'll like be like, great, this is a moment for me to, I've stumbled across a little exhibition or something. I am going to go into it by myself and do some journaling about it or something like that. But then I kind of just like to integrate fundamental principles of the artist way into my day-to-day life, which is just, you know, keeping my eye out for synchronicities and things that I believe are kind of like little breadcrumbs of fate and destiny when it comes to creative practice, or things that like line up really beautifully. I feel like I just actually had a really gorgeous moment of synchronicity in that I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers, Very Little Peach, and I just put it on while I was kind of setting up the studio. And then she mentioned my melty beads and how her mom has made this big melty bead quilt, because I mean, I love Very Little Peach, but my son also adores her and loves her drawing. And I actually feel like the way she approaches her creativity has really inspired him, and I feel like motivated him, because who doesn't want a gorgeous mountain with a little smiley face on it, you know? That's just been just so lovely for him. But I just thought it was so cool like to watch. And then she was suddenly talking about my work and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a moment of synchronicity. I love that sort of stuff. So I really believe in those sentiments. And I say that because that sort of thinking is what got us here to Flower Puppy Show. Like I think I mentioned in the last video, a deep past with musical theater, but I really like let that go and was like, you know, that's done forever now. I guess I'll just take my love of performing to the future so far as when I do set design and costume design and things like that. And also when I do media things, I will bring that love of performance into those sort of situations. And after journaling a lot at the beginning of the year, I realized that, you know, in the artist way, it talks about absolutely being a shadow artist, which I don't think I am a shadow artist, given I'm online and I'm making work and things like that. But I think that there's some parts of my creativity that I have repressed. And for me, that was very much singing and actually like fronting up to performing and being the one on the stage again, not just costuming people. And that was a lot to reckon with, but so many things have happened in the journey. Like through this process, I decided to get a vocal coach, and she is so amazing, Katie. Even things about that were really like a bit woo-woo synchronicity wise. Like I told her about Flower Puppy Show. I told her that I was doing these lessons so that we could, you know, put this show together, and I explained the concept with the flowers and the puppies, and she was like, I love the idea. And she pulled up her sleeve and she had a tattoo of a dog with flowers on its head. She was like, I have a flower puppy tattoo. And I was like, oh my God, it's destiny. This was meant to be. And she's been just so healing for me as well with ideas of like, because, you know, it's brought up a lot of things being like, can I do what I used to do? Am I going to embarrass myself? Is it going to be really cringe? You know, am I allowed to do this? And she's been like, oh, you're allowed to take up space. You know, you're allowed to do something different. You're allowed to sound exactly like you sound. Like, it's okay. And just, I was like, wow, there's so many parts of that are applicable, not only for like, you know, vocal coaching journey, but also just for life and creativity. Like you are allowed to show up. You're allowed to be distinctly you. You don't have to be perfect. The presentation of you and what you sound like and what your work sounds like and looks like there's space for that, because no one has ever been you, and that's great. I've just been really thinking about all this stuff, and particularly this week as this project comes to a crescendo and we have made so much stuff with this prompt ready for this show. I'm so excited, and I'm really excited to share it, and obviously like nervous because there's the element of performance and we're really doing it quite bare bones. We are nervous but also so happy and pleased, because I also feel like it's bringing together so many things that we've done over the years with the fashion shows and things like that, and just adding a new element, but it just feels so right. Oh my gosh, this is really coming together, by the way. You can kind of see like the petals forming now. So I'm going to attach it, and then I'm going to, oh, actually no, I'll cover each piece in tape. That makes sense. See how the hat just gave it a little foundation? Anyway, this is a really rambly video. I basically just wanted to jump on and say hi, particularly capture something before the actual show goes ahead. I can't wait to we will absolutely do a little video after the fact to say how it went. I'll capture some of the install and things like that on Tuesday, Friday, and then the Saturday of the show. The thing about this space is that it is a community hall. So there's like so much going on there. It is just the most fantastic space, I have to say. And if you're in Brisbane and want to do something, like highly recommend the Latvian Hall. Firstly, the organizers are just so lovely to deal with and really professional as well. Like the facilities are excellent. There's aircon. The people who run it are just really passionate about the space. But because it's a really fantastic community one, it is booked and busy. So I think on the actual day of our install, they're like, okay, you can come in at 12, but we've got choir in the morning. We've got yoga the day before, la, la, la. So we're just making sure that we're being really considerate of the other groups, but it will allow us to actually like start setting things up on the Tuesday. So we might get some of the bunting up and some of the tinsel hangings. Behind me, I will show you this giant dog disco ball that this project cracked open for me. This was really cool. And again, a kind of woo-woo moment was that I had at the start of this process a really strong creative visual come into my head. And that was like of this cardboard, what I thought at the time was a cardboard dress form. And I was like, oh, maybe it would be really cool to make these like oversized cardboard dresses. I was like, and then I could kind of like make the face of a dog on the front and cover it in some of the materials just so that they are like pushing the boundary between sculpture and wearable and just, you know, dress. So I tried it and I made it and it was bananas. Firstly, it was like quite uncomfortable to wear. Secondly, I think because I was making it in such a frenzy, it wasn't very structurally sound. So what I did was I actually felt really disappointed because it took me a couple of hours to make, but I was like, oh, it's just like not right. And I showed Patience and we were like, yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be comfortable. Also, storing it backstage and there's kind of a limited space, it's going to take up a lot of room. So we just literally parked it in the garage. It was just sitting on a pile of stuff. And I must have been walking past it every day for the last couple of months while we've been working on the show. And literally maybe like a week and a half ago, I was walking in from my morning coffee and I walked in and then I walked back past it and I was like, it's the form of a dog. Like the actual oversized shape of the dress with the sleeves and the face has formed a snout and it's a dog. And I was like, what if we made a giant dog pinata? And then it's so funny when I talked to Paige, she was like, oh, I thought it kind of like was the dog. And we were just like, she was like, every time I looked at it, I saw a dog. And it was super bizarre because now it's one of my favorite props that we've made for the show is this disco ball dog head. And I think I now want to turn my paper lantern that usually hangs just in my little library nook into a like neon pink dog head as well. And now for future projects, I'm like, oh my God, I can imagine like all these kitsch animals hanging from the ceiling. That would be so cool. But again, if we'd never done this project, that sort of disco ball installation thing would never have happened. So many things that we've made in this project have had that kind of thing happen where it's like, wow, this just feels so right. Even we had a disco locket in here from previous projects that just has never been filled, like with an internal picture. Could never decide what would go inside. And then we were looking at it and we were like, oh my gosh, we absolutely have to put our adorable little swap card creatures in there. And now it like feels so complete. It was so gorgeous. So I think really feeling a weird, and I don't want to jinx it, but a weird sense of calm. I think the working bee that we did this weekend, we had a sleepover and we were just so locked in. It was really great. We got things like the pass the parcel done. We got a lot of the little fitting issues ironed out. I worried that I'd made a poison dress because I had spray painted some of a dress, but we've decided that we're going to give that a good air out, and we are also going to give it a good strong wipe down because it's just such a fab color. But I think I have a mild allergy to spray paint, which I don't want to admit to, but I must be wary of. So the thing that this project has also given us is that we feel interested in doing something like this again. It will really depend on how the actual night goes. We're hoping that people enjoy it, but the format and all the elements that have existed within it just make total sense. We have also put together this zine that has all the beats of the process in it. We have included information about how we came up with the aesthetics and why we've done this. We really wanted to share how you could also put on your own show like this. At least in our world, it feels like there's a little bit of a gap in the market of maybe like a more lo-fi talent show sort of event where people, I feel like there's just so much pressure now to be so slick and professional with shows all the time. And I think that I would like to see a bit of a return to like the scrappy, artistic, cardboard set cabaret show. And I definitely think there is some of that going on, but I would like to see even more. And at least in the way that we set up this show, we wanted to write down the approach so that maybe people could also put on their fun art show, because things can get really serious in the art world. I kind of dip my toe between, you know, fine art and posting things on Instagram and all that sort of stuff. And whilst I love the gallery world, things can get pretty serious there sometimes. And it's been really refreshing to just make art and make work for the joy of it. I think also because I did a really serious art show at the beginning of the year. I've made a video about it, but I have never put it up because it was so intense. And I think I will put it up eventually. Maybe I'll put it up after this project's finished and I have some time. But after doing that, I felt like I needed an antidote of this sort of thing. And given it's tapping back into past creative self a bit, I'm just so intrigued to see what comes of this. And if nothing else comes other than everybody has a good time and we do the thing and that's it, I will be happy because I have loved the process so much. It's also been amazing working with my friend Patience in such a concentrated way. We've worked together before, but never like this, so collaboratively and literally working on every element of the show together. So that's been really satisfying too, to really like be sharing the creative stakes and visuals really openly with someone. And, you know, I've collaborated with a lot of people over the years and I know what a good, safe collaboration feels like. And this has just been so great. Like it's just been wonderful. And I think I would encourage people to make more work with their friends. I think being on the socials, it can get a bit individualistic sometimes. Like it's all about our own follows and our own pages, but collaborating is really where the fun stuff happens, because then you also have someone to share the memories with and the struggles with, and someone also to reflect with after the fact too. Like we're really excited to do a bit of a review after this and be like, wow, like what was that and what came out of it? And currently I'm looking around the studio here and I already can see that so much gorgeousness has come from this process, and I'm just really excited to share it. I guess I don't want to say sorry, but a little sorry that we didn't document or put up more vlogs along the way. I feel like actually anyway, it's cool to have gone from that first video to this point where it's like, oh my gosh, we did the thing. And as of Saturday, wow, we really will have done the thing. I'm going to do a bit more solid work on this. You can see it's already coming together to form this gorgy little hat. And I will keep working away on this and show you at the end. Hat. I love her. Kay is gonna sing Tiptoe Through the Tulips with me in it, which is gonna be very special, even though I think it's just like a misc flower. It's a bit rose, a bit tulip, a bit of everything. I did a bit of rhinestoning in the undercarriage too. She's special. I love her. Okay, thanks for tuning in. I will give you another little vloggy vlog update soon on how the show went and what could possibly be next after. I actually don't even know what the future looks like. I cannot think beyond November 8. But so grateful for your eyeballs, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.